Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friends in Code Spaces. I am so happy to have this guest here today. His name is Hassan. He is a senior manager of developer relations at Together AI. I wanted to make sure that that was right as I looked over there. Awesome. I am so excited to have Hassan here. Hassan builds incredible demos that are educational, fun, and often viral. And one of the things that I really enjoy about your work is that you share it. You share how you built that. And not only are you building in public often, but you're also, this is how I built in public, and this is how you should be building in public. And I really appreciate that. And you're coming from a pretty close code space. I'm hanging out now in this AI code space. What would you say your current code space is? What code space is that? Whatever that means to you.
Yeah, I feel like I was in the full stack engineering code space, maybe more the front end side, and have been transitioning more and more in the AI code space, and so it's just been really fun.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, I think that what happens is a lot of people think that we either know everything, or that you can't move, right? So like I think that's a great example that you can move, and you can move into different code spaces, and then we bump into each other in real life. And I always enjoy when we get like brief moments to talk to each other. So I'm so excited to talk to you more today on the show. We have not done the theme song yet. I've had a couple guests actually try to do this with me. You don't have to. Do you have a good country accent?
No,
you don't. Okay,
not at all.
I'll give you a go, and you can tell me if you think this is good. So I got friends in code spaces. It's like a Yankovic thing. All right. Okay. So the way that the show works, Hassan, is we're gonna play some games. We're gonna play some games. The first game that we're gonna play is called Context Window. As you know, with being in the AI space, when these LMs were trained, they were trained on the internet and books and all sorts of stuff. And sometimes things aren't in the context window, but I wanted to see what it knew about you, because I wanted to make sure that we get the context that it wants. So I was like, maybe what we should do is write a system prompt that shows interest in you if it doesn't know about you, and then have it ask some questions that would help it further what it wants to do. So it sounds a little creepy, but it's actually pretty fun. Okay. So let's play context window, and here it is. It does think that you're an exciting guest, which I do too as well. But it doesn't have much information about you. And I did tell it to be self-aware. So it's going to be a little creepy, and it's like science fiction, right? Sure. Approach to things. Sure. It doesn't know much about Together AI either. So I hope that we get a little bit about what Together AI is, because I would I'd love to learn more about that. And I'm sure our listeners would too. It's really interested in your developer relations stuff, which I am as well.
All right.
And I gave it a little additional context and a little shout out to you that you build incredible demos that go viral, and he's happy to share how he does this. So here are your choices of topics. So it's a two-step, right? So I said, I want you to generate the topics that you want, and then I want you to ask questions in here. So there's questions buried beneath here. Do you see one on there that you like? That you'd like to talk about?
Let's talk about maybe the viral demos.
Okay. So we're going to talk about.
You brought it up already.
Yeah, we're going to talk about building viral demos. A reminder that this show is in beta, and in the future, this web app would probably do something like this.
What LLM is this, by the way?
This is using Llama. We're using Llama 3. Today's episode has been sponsored by Llama 3, and also 11 Labs, because 11 Labs is going to ask you this first thing. I think Chris. Chris sounds like a great voice to ask you this question.
As someone who has built incredible demos that go viral, what do you think is the most important aspect of a demo that sets it apart from others? And how do you balance creativity with practical implementation?
Wow, that's a great question.
I was about to say that. Wow, I'm impressed. I think what sets a lot of demos apart is two things. I think like simplicity is one thing. You need to be able to explain it in a single sentence. You need to be able to like show people that it does one thing very well, and this is what it does, and this is what it's for, and here's a clear example. And so I think balancing that with also in a complete application, ideally, accomplishing something actually useful. And I tend to add just a little bit of extra stuff on my demo to make it, almost not feel like a demo, feel like an actual app that you go on and sign up for and pay for.
Right.
And so, you add a little user authentication, or you might add like a dashboard and stuff like that.
Right. So when people interact with it, they're like, wow, this is actually, I could use this app. Yeah. Yeah. And you have had some that have like some of those that you have built that have just taken off. Do you have one that is your favorite that you can, what comes to mind when you think about that?
Yeah, probably Room GPT because it's been my most popular.
Okay.
So I just, yeah, I kind of have a little story on how I built it. And it was basically, I started out using Stable Diffusion, which is, probably the most popular image model out there.
Right.
And the idea was that I wanted to give it a picture of a room and I wanted it to redesign it.
Okay.
So Stable Diffusion will do image to image where it'll accept an image and a prompt.
Yeah.
And give you an image.
Yeah.
And so you give it an image of your room and you tell it like, hey, can you, show me my room redesigned in a sleek, minimalistic theme with black and white,
Yeah.
for example.
Right.
And it gives you an output. But Stable Diffusion actually did a horrible job at
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
it doesn't do a good job of respecting like the dimension of the room and the depth and
reality
all this stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
So it was an idea I had a while ago, actually inspired by an indie hacker called Peter Levels. He has his own that he did.
Okay.
But I kind of saw that and I wasn't happy with it, and so I never shipped it. And I waited and this is the beauty of AI. You kind of just wait for new models to come to you, and then all of a sudden you can build these apps that weren't previously possible with no changes.
Yeah.
It's like you just change the model string. So
Yeah.
I waited for this new image model called ControlNet that came out,
Oh,
and it
right.
did a really good job at just keeping that original structure the same.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I just spent like 1 or 2 weekends building it and shipping it, and people started to use it.
Yeah, and incredible numbers. And I think what's cool about that one is it inspired. Like you saw, I mean, you must have seen that. You saw all this inspiration of people like going, "I'm going to build this too," and I'm going to go. It's so cool, so
It's
cool.
awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. So awesome job on that, by the way. I think that it's like super motivational, and like I think there's a lot of this like, well, I'm never, and this is probably to your point, I'm never going to build a real app, but you're putting other stuff on it that makes it a real app, right? And so it's like making it real. So super cool.
And I think like basically everything I do is open source. The app is open source. You can go check it out and download it. And I think what I try to convey to people is that it's easier than you think to build an actual app that's useful.
Yeah.
And it's like, this thing has a single API endpoint.
Right.
It makes one API call to ControlNet with the image and prompt and gets back an image and shows it to the user. And that's it. It is like nothing else in there besides a little bit of authentication.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And
Yeah.
like millions of people have used it.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, yeah, it's cool.
I think you put in a little bit of extra sheen. Like if I were to go in there and I was like to build, so mine like looks like pretty raw HTML, like pretty gross. But yours looks great. So like don't sell yourself short of that. Awesome. Let's do another one. Let's get another one from here. What do you think? I mean, human skills.
That one is just intriguing. Let's do it.
All right, let's open it up. Let's open it up. Let's see what it thinks. It snuck the developer relations in there.
God.
Oh, this is good actually.
Yeah.
As a senior manager of developer relations, congratulations, by the way. How do you assess the impact of AI on the developer community, and what changes do you see in the way that developers work and collaborate? That's an interesting question. And it's interesting. It's interesting because it's thinking about like what skills doesn't it have?
Yeah.
Are there any human skills that you think are essential for developers to possess in order to effectively collaborate with AI systems? Wow.
Very interesting. I think there's this whole shtick of like ChatGPT came out, and as a developer, my job is gone.
Right.
Like that's it. It can code. It can do everything. And yeah, I feel like that's less and less true as time goes on. We see the limitations of LLMs, and don't get me wrong, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I love working in the space, and I'm sure you're having a blast.
Absolutely.
Doing this stuff as well, and because it's useful on so many levels. But I think like it's more useful in terms of enhancing, human output for a lot of this stuff. And so I think, and in some ways, I think it's having a negative effect on a lot of like newer developers.
For sure.
They come in and they're like, oh my God, ChatGPT is amazing. I'm just going to ask it to write, a Next.js app for me that does this. And they expect it to output a whole thing. And sometimes it does. And it very confidently will do something that's very questionable. And you get it on there and you try to run the code and like it's false confidence because I feel like you're 80% of the way there. You're like, oh my God, I have all this code. But in reality, you spend more time troubleshooting than you would if you built it by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not learning anything doing that. And so like,
Right.
I think it's something that junior developers should probably use a little less.
Yeah.
And, but you can definitely use it to kind of, task specific or function specific tasks.
Do you use it? When you're
I
like
do.
building those demos? Yeah, I do
was
too.
literally just
man.
building something this morning
Yeah.
and I had to write a function that takes some JSON and outputs it into a very specific object, and I was like I don't want to write this parsing logic.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask it to do that, and it did a decently good job.
Do you find when you have that I don't want to do that, that is when it's like I'm trying to teach towards that. Like when you feel I don't want to do that, that is when you lean to AI, whatever it is in your world, and especially I think in coding, because that translation, like that exact use case of like, how do I do date time manipulation? Like I don't need to do that anymore. Yeah, so cool. You actually kind of walked into a place where I would like to bring us to, and to the next game. Actually, the next game is called Cold Ones. Have you seen the show Hot Ones?
I have.
So we're gonna have some cold ones, and producer Peter is going to bring us something in. Producer Peter is coming to get us some cold ones. This is the longest delay of what is a cold one. Is it beer? Do you think it's a beer?
I don't know. I hope not.
We didn't also have the time to. Do you have any allergies?
I don't have any allergies.
Okay.
I don't drink though.
Okay,
so.
no, I knew that.
Okay.
I knew that. So.
I figured.
He's coming. He's coming with some, and he might have thrown away what we were going to use. So he's coming. He's coming.
Yeah, but yeah, on this topic of like impact of AI, I love that a lot of people are starting to use it. Like even you. I think last time, like the first time we spoke, I was at another company. You were at another company as well.
Yeah.
And now it's awesome to just see friends start to work on AI and start to teach it and use it. And
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Cool.
I'm loving where it's coming.
Oh my god! Oh god! I'm not hitting my calorie goal for today.
So you get your choice: blue or red.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with the blue.
All right, blue. And so did you grow up with these?
No, but I know what they are.
You know what they are. All right, so then here we go.
Cheers.
We're gonna try to get. So what for me? This brings me back to childhood. This is like hot summer day.
Yeah.
It's gonna immediately be hit. Do you have something like that? Like what would bring you back nostalgically? Because that's where we're going. We're going back. We're going back in time.
Yeah. Pizza for me.
Pizza?
Weirdly enough. Like
Okay.
I had, back in kindergarten or preschool, I had this school where if you finish reading a book, you get this coupon to get your free mini pizza at this pizza place. And
Wow.
so I used to finish a book every Friday.
Wow.
I used to be so like happy that I got this coupon. I'd go to this restaurant, I'd give it to them, and they'd give me my free little pizza.
Nice
And I'd eat
gamification.
So,
I hope that this brings you back to your pizza days. Here we go. Cheers.
Thank you.
It's kind of hard to get through. They're kind of hard to keep frozen. Okay.
All right.
So that brings me back to like my early childhood, and it's important. I think it's important to get your brain there to get like, because what I want to do is I want to talk about the very first code space that you walked into. How did you do that? And how did you like feel when you walked into that? Can you remember that with a little help of blue?
I can actually. This is right before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right before the pandemic. Started to get more and more interested in coding, and I mean, the first time I actually touched code was probably high school.
Okay.
So I can talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I remember talking to a friend of mine, and this was in high school, and he was telling me like, oh, he like works after school, and I'm like, oh, like what do you do? And he's like, I actually freelance for this company, and I like write scripts in Ruby, or I don't even know what language it was at the time. And he was like, yeah, they pay me like this much money. And I was like, no way. Like, that's impossible. Like, stop.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he's like, no, it's true. And I remember he gave me, a book at the time on how to like
Nice. Like a dummy,
program with Ruby. I read maybe 5 pages.
A dummy's book?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you weren't getting pizza. So like you wouldn't
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just remember being so amazed.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow. Like you sit at your computer and you build software.
Yeah.
And you get paid for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just started exploring things. I'm like, wow, that's how websites are created.
Yeah.
You write HTML. And just
Yeah.
like, to me, like it's fascinating, the idea of like writing something and that translating into a real program or a real website that other people can use and interact with.
Yeah. Can you remember the first app that you built where you're like, I want to show this to somebody?
Ooh. That's a really good question. I think I wrote like a Python script in college.
Okay.
That like, automated some part of my life.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the book Automating the Boring
Love
Parts.
it. Oh, best book.
Oh, amazing, amazing. But it was just some very simple thing with like keystrokes and something, but it actually accomplished a task that I was going to do manually. And I probably spent 10 times the amount of time writing the program that actually, so it didn't save me any time. But like, I think that was the first one where I was like, wow, like
awesome.
I've made it.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you could take, you have all your wisdom now and you wanted to bring it back to not your Slurpee days, but like the analogous Slurpee days, what would be like the biggest piece of advice? Because I think I would like to reach some people who are thinking about building, who are in that same sort of space where you just kind of touched that. So like, what advice would you give younger you? You don't need to give advice to these people that are out there, these imaginary people I'm talking about, but to younger you.
Just younger me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have advised myself to get into coding earlier. Like I feel like I got into, not that I got into it super late, but I got into it kind of like end of college, starting, like I was accepted a job as an electrical engineer, senior year. And I was going to go do that and kind of just like had this, epiphany, I guess, or like change of heart and got into it. But beyond that, which is, I feel like is obvious advice that everybody's like, oh, I wish I got into this 5 years earlier.
Okay.
I think like just start building quicker. I think I spent too much time in like tutorial hell and
Gotcha.
Just watching other people build things, and there's nothing like building stuff yourself and learning that way.
Awesome. Well, cheers to that.
Yeah,
you don't have to drink it if you don't want to.
No, I'm gonna try.
It's really like hard to get through right now.
We're struggling out here.
All right, so producer Peter, not only did he bring us the Slurpees, he also did some digging, some digging, and we want to talk about your X, your Twitter, right? Did I say that wrong? Just no,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were talking about my actual X.
I know.
Which I'm like,
I know, that was the joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. I gave you a Slurpee and then a heart attack all in one. Let me get to this over here. Here we go.
To my fiance watching at home. That did not happen.
All right. So here we are. First of all, we have at Nutlope. Is it Nutlope? What is going on over here?
It's Nutlope. Embarrassing gamer username from like 12 years ago.
Okay.
Where I sat in a room.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come up with a unique word that if you Google it, nothing will come out.
Okay.
And I spent an hour.
Okay.
And I came out with that.
Well, good job.
It worked. It did great. It does great. I mean, SEO.
You own it. It's
great.
Is it your GitHub too?
It is my GitHub. Okay. It's my Twitter. It's my LinkedIn.
Wow.
It's my email. Everything.
Wow. Okay.
The name is questionable. Looking back at it.
Yeah.
But it did the job.
Yeah.
It did the job at the time.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to admit that.
There you go. Nice.
But,
awesome. Awesome. So this post here, this post has a lot of engagement. Do you know what it is? It was your engagement.
Oh my God.
There's so much engagement. Congrats on that.
You.
Yeah. So this is coming up. That's recent. I was looking at there. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that. Here's this one here. It's another one of your demos that came out, and one of the things I wanted to point out here is that you were like working with somebody on this. Who are you working with?
Yeah, so this is something that I started recently. I guess this year.
Okay.
Where I started working with my brother.
Yeah.
On these apps.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of trying to transition into tech.
Okay.
And so he's learning how to design and stuff like that. And so I start to work with. I'm not a designer myself.
Right.
Like I feel like I know how to make things look halfway decent, but I don't really know, how to make things look really good.
Yeah.
And my brother's been digging into it. And
dude, I love that.
Shout out to my brother. He's been killing it.
I agree. Yeah.
Working on a bunch of apps. I think you commented on this
did.
tweet, if I remember.
I did, and I was actually making sure.
There you go. I knew.
Sure. You called him your little brother. I do that to my brother too, my 40-year-old brother. I'm like, my little brother, and you didn't call him that. So
he's
like,
a grown man,
but I love that you not only did you shout him, but you also shouted him out, and you're also giving him that opportunity to go and build. I think that's huge. So like, super kind, and like also you bring that. I think that you bring that in your talks, and you bring that in your content. So thank you for bringing the kindness.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's very kind.
I want to talk a little bit about your tech stack here.
Yeah.
This is what brings these. What makes this your 2024 tech stack?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Oh, I actually, you know what? There might be people listening at home. So can you explain what your tech stack is there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll explain it and then I'll talk about the why.
Okay. Thank you.
So language is TypeScript. You know, I started out with JavaScript, but TypeScript is just, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
adds the extra types. It just makes things move much quicker for me. Framework Next.js, you know, obviously very biased. I used to work at Vercel along with Peter.
Yeah. Producer Peter.
Producer Peter. I'm sorry. I forgot the full title. But I think it's great. You know, I don't work there anymore and
Yeah.
I still love it and I still
Yeah.
use it. And so
Yeah.
I think that's a testament for to how good of a framework it is and also how good of a hosting platform Vercel is. And
Yeah.
so what I like most about Next.js is the fact that it's full stack. You know, I can do my front end and I can do my back end in one application.
Awesome.
My database, I love Postgres in general. And
Yeah.
Neon is one of those Postgres databases out there that I feel like is great and has some fancy features like branching and other stuff. But in general, I think Postgres is awesome.
Yeah.
Postgres database. Prisma is an ORM to interact with your database. And so it's how I'm able to not write SQL. Fun
Yeah.
fact, I still don't know SQL.
Wow.
I've never written SQL before.
And you may never with
I may
AI,
never, yeah.
right? Yeah. Wow. That's fascinating.
With that said, I think it's a very valuable skill.
No,
You
no,
should
I'm
learn
not.
it.
No, no. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've just gotten away with just writing Prisma, so I get to write TypeScript to interact with my database,
Wow.
which I love.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. For styling, I go with Tailwind CSS,
Yep.
which a lot of people either love or hate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's definitely one of those, like, it either puts a bad taste or you're like, this is the best Slurpee I've ever had. Like one of those. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But like a lot of this honestly is optimized for like prototyping.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
optimized for like,
Well, that makes
let me
sense.
sit down on a weekend and put an app
Yeah.
out. And it's the fastest way to do that.
Yeah.
For me, like this is the fastest stack for me.
Yeah.
Together AI for my AI API. Obviously, I'm biased. I work there.
Yeah.
But I think it's great.
Yeah.
Hosting and analytics, again, Vercel, we talked about that. And then
Yeah.
authentication, where I used to kind of roll my own auth a little bit with Next.js and Next.js auth and kind of host it on Postgres.
Yeah.
But I've transitioned more and more towards managed service like Clerk.
Okay.
Because it's just, if I can spend less time on authentication, I will.
I love
So-
it. Yeah, somebody thought about the problem and took care of it, and then that works really well with your demos, right? To like stitch it into your demos and make it feel like we were talking about at the beginning. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think? Have you talked about? Is this in your vows? I'm wondering if this is in your vows because you're going to engage. I am going to take some weekends and build some code. Is that okay? Like maybe she gets to go out and do. Does she code? I don't know if she codes.
No, she doesn't code.
Okay.
She's a med student though.
Okay.
Which I love.
Right.
Which means
Yeah.
she's gonna be super busy, and that gives me time to code.
Hello,
So
demos.
we're
Right.
chilling.
Okay,
We're very
okay.
compatible there.
Okay.
I showed her this tweet. I tweeted out this thing randomly, responding to like a friend's alt account, and I
Yeah.
was like, it would be so great to date a med student.
Uh-uh.
And this is like over a year ago.
Whoa! You made it happen.
And it happened.
Wow.
And so
You envisioned
I
it.
sent her that tweet, and I was like I was waiting for you.
Mood board. Mood board.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I think that's going to be very compatible.
Awesome.
I mean, I love building this stuff.
Yeah.
I think what also I love about my job is I get to spend work time working on this stuff now. Some of it at
Yeah.
least. And so
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to it.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Hassan, and thank you, everybody. Where can we? So we can follow Nutlope, which doesn't mean anything, but it's not taken anywhere else. So anywhere you want to find Hassan, you just write Nutlope. And what can we share for you? What you got an event coming up? You got something that you want to put out there? No, you're just shaking and looking at me.
Nothing. No,
Can we all
man.
come to your wedding? Or
You can come to my wedding. And Peter.
Peter's coming.
Two, I
Producer Peter.
got 2 hours 50
Okay.
seconds. No, honestly, I'm excited.
Awesome.
Nothing
Cool.
major coming up.
Cool. Wait, are you in SF now?
Just for the summer. I'm
Okay.
normally in New Jersey, but moving
Okay.
to New York pretty soon.
Okay, awesome. So we'll see it. We'll see you around at events, and we will see you around sharing viral demos too. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks for being a friend in the code space.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate it.
So good. Thanks.
Thank you.